Okay, let's start discussing MCIT. Yeah. So pag sinabing MCIT, minimum corporate income tax. So some say it's MCIT. So MCIT, whatever, same lang din yan, minimum corporate income tax. O bigyan ko lang kayo ng history bakit ba mayroong ganito. Okay, kasi prior to our NIRC of 1997 or Tax Reform Act of 1998, ang nangyayari, yung mga taxpayers, pag meron silang net loss or net operating loss, okay, regular income tax lang sila ha. So pag meron silang loss, wala silang binabayaran na regular income tax. Wala ring MCIT. Tapos hindi naman sila nagsasara. Every year, lugi. Kaya sabi ng mga legislators natin parang may mali yata. O edi ngayon, sige, kahit lugi sila, kung lugi man sila, okay lang. Singilin natin ng at least minimum 2% based on gross income. Kaya nga nagkaroon tayo ng MCIT para somehow the government can collect money from taxpayers who have a net loss or net operating loss during the taxable year. Yan ang reason kung bakit meron tayong minimum corporate income tax. Parang humihingi lang siya ng 2% based on gross income para may makolekta naman kami. Huwag kang mag-alala, advance payment of tax lang yan. Kasi yung excess ng RSIT over MSIT, okay, pwede mo siyang gamiting tax credit in the succeeding period. Kumbaga, siningil lang siya in advance. Okay, so the basis of the gross income, okay, or the MSIT is gross income. So how do we compute gross income? Kapag seller of goods yan, gross sales less returns, allowances, and discounts. Okay, and so basically net sales less cost of sales. Kapag seller of service, gross receipts or gross sales na ngayon under EOPT, less returns, allowances or discounts. Okay? Nakalagay ito sa ano ha? Nakalagay ito sa Section 27 ng tax code natin, Section 27E. Pero syempre yung service naman, hindi naman mai-return yan. So less allowances, discounts, so net revenue yan, and cost of services sold. Okay? So gross income yan or basically gross profit in accounting. Now, pag sinabi natin cost of service, okay, syempre, direct cost and expenses lang yan. Okay, hindi kasama ang administrative, operating expenses, selling, etc. Okay, in general, hindi general expenses hindi kasama. So, shall include all direct costs and expenses incurred to provide the service. Ayun, basta may kinalaman directly doon sa pagpo-provide ng service, yan ay part ng cost of service. Okay, required by the customers and clients, including salaries and employee benefits of personnel, consultants, and specialists, basta directly rendering the services. So, halimbawa, law office to. Siyempre, law ang kanilang pinoprovide. Meron silang kliyente, tax ang pinag-uusapan. Nag-hire sila ng accountant, consultant. So, yung professional fee paid to the accountant ay part ng direct cost yan. Okay? Cost of service yan. Pero yung mga halimbawa, yung mga admin, hindi yan part. Okay? Yung HR na salaries and wages, hindi rin yan part kasi walang kinalaman yan sa pagpo-provide ng service. Okay? Kasama din sa costs, yung cost of facilities used directly in providing the service such as yung depreciation. Okay, halimbawa yung building. Okay? Rental of property. Okay? Yung mga, syempre, kung nangungupahan lang sila, yung rent. Pero attributable only to the direct costs. So pag may kilalaman sa admin, halimbawa 1 million ang rental, 10% ang sa admin, yung 10% operating expenses yan. Yung 90% part of cost yan. Okay? At saka cost of supplies. So, pag sinabing supplies, again, ito yung ginagamit lang directly to the rendition of service or performance. Pero pag halimbawa papel, mga supplies na ginagamit ng admin, ng HR, okay, yung mga utilities, etc., hindi yan kasama. Okay? Kapag bangko naman, part ng cost of service nila, yung interest expense. So, tatandaan mo to. Kapag bangko, yung yung sales or receipts nila, okay, yung receipts nila, hindi affected pala ng ano yan, ng ease of paying tax ng mga bangko. So, yung gross receipts nila, from interest income yan, yung pagpapautang. Pag nangutang sila, yung interest expense, part of cost nila yan. Kasi nga, para kumita, no, papautang. So, pag nangutang sila, para sila magkapera din, interest expense is part of cost yan. Huwag mong kakalimutan. So, the rate, napag-usapan na natin to, okay, originally, upon the effectivity of the tax code, January 1, 1998, until June 30, 2020, 2% yan. Temporarily, because of corporate recovery, okay, yung create loan natin, bumaba yan sa 1%. Again, the reason why we have that the rate has been lowered is for the enterprises to at least somehow recover from the losses as a result of COVID-19. Naging 2% ulit by July 1, 2023. So, nung feeling ng Kongreso, makaka-recover naman by this period, kaya bumalik na siya sa 2%. So, take note, effective interest rate for 2020 and 2023 is 1.5%. Basta 6 months yan. So, halimbawa, pinakita na sa ito, January to June 2020, 2%. Ito, by July to December 2020, 1% yan. Kaya effective interest rate, 1.5%. Total divided 3% divided by 2, 1.5 yan. By January to June 2023, 1% dito. July to December 2023, 2% dyan. Magkabaliktad sila. So, effective rate is 1.5%. Kaya mag-ingat ka sa mga dates. Again, yung regular corporate income tax natin na dating 30, naging 25 na. Walang balikan sa 30 yan. Okay? Now, there are things that you need to remember about MCIT. It is imposed, okay, beginning on the 4th taxable year, immediately following the year in which such corporation commenced its business operations. Anong ibig pa sabihin ng commencement of business operations? So, ito yung date of registration. So, X is the date of registration. Okay, plus 4 ka lang. Yung pang 4, yun na yung MCIT. Practice tayo. Nag-register 2013. 2013, yan yung X mo. Okay, kailan merong MCIT? Bilang ka ng 4 na taon, X plus 4, 14, 15, 16, 17. By 2017, meron ng MCIT. 2016, wala pa. 2015, wala pa. 2014, wala pa. 2013, wala pa. Okay, sir, bakit ganun? Bakit wala? Kasi, bago ka pa lang eh. Di ba, ang sabi natin, kaya nga merong MCIT for the government to be able to collect somehow from taxpayers losing money. Okay, kung meron silang net loss, at least merong minimum corporate income tax na makukuha. Ito, bago ka pa lang, expectation, lugi ka. Piruin mo, kaka-register mo pa lang, lugi ka. Alam ka namang Viking MCIT, wala namang konsensya yan. Kaya, siya ay inimpose on the 4th taxable year, pero ang basis is the period in which the business is registered. Kaya X plus 4 tayo. Okay? Yung iba, ang mali ang bilang, kaya mag-iingat ka. Okay? Ngayon. When the MCIT is higher than the RCIT during the period, the MCIT shall be payable. Okay? During the period ang binanggit. So, anong ibig sabihin? Kahit quarterly, kahit annual, merong MCIT. Ang gagawin mo lang parate, RCIT at saka MCIT ang i-compute mo kung non-individual taxpayer. kung corporation yan, kung partnership yan, kung kwentas partisipasyon yan, kung yan ay joint stock company, kung yan ay association na hindi exempted, kung yan ay one-person corporation, RSIT, MSIT ka parate. Okay, etong RSIT, pag DC, 25%, 20% yan. Pag RFC, 25%. Tapos ito, 2%. I-compare mo parate. Kapag mas malaki RSIT, RSIT ang babayaran. Kung mas malaki MSIT, MSIT ang babayaran. Okay? So, when the MSIT is higher than RSIT during the period, meaning quarterly or annual, the MSIT, yun ang babayaran. Pero, kapag ang MSIT ang binayaran mo, okay, the excess of MSIT over the regular income tax, pwede mo siyang i-carry over as tax credit to the regular RSIT, no, in the next 3 immediately succeeding taxable years. Kung baga, ang MSIT, siningil ka lang ng gobyerno para meron siya matanggap na pera, advance payment of tax lang yan. So, yung excess ng MSIT over RSIT, pwede mo siyang i-carry over as tax credit. Okay, doon sa regular corporate income tax mo. Sa kasunod, sir, paano kung wala akong regular corporate income tax susunod, mas malaki pa rin MSIT. Di MSIT ang bayaran mo, paano yung excess? Huwag ka mag-alala, 3 taon yan, oh. Pwede mong 3 taon i-carry over yan. Kaya okay lang. Now, tandaan mo, MSIT applies to DC and resident foreign corporations. Okay? And excludes those entities enjoying preferential tax. Example, proprietary educational institution, yung non-profit hospital, yung mga PEZA registered enterprises na subject sa gross income tax of 5% or under CREATE law, yung mga new registrants, special corporate income tax ang tawag sa 5%. Ganyan lang kasimple. MCIT applies also on quarterly income tax payments. So, ibig sabihin, ganyan ang gagawin mo parate sa quarter mo. Okay? Napakasimple lang nito. Mag-apply natin yung rule. 2017. Tignan mo, napakahaba ng ating illustrations dito para makita mo yung application ng mga rules. 2017. Kinompute natin RSIT, MSIT, 3,000, 6,000. Alin ang mas mataas? Diyos ko po. Di yung 6,000. Di yun ang bayaran mo. Yan ang babayaran, 6,000. Kasi mas mataas ang MSIT. Okay, kung mas mataas ang MSIT, yun ang binayaran. Compute mo yung excess ng MSIT over RSIT. Magkano yung excess? 3,000. Anong gagawin natin sa 3,000 na yan? Pwede natin i-carry over as tax credit sa RSIT 2018, 19, 20. Ililista mo na. 2018, tignan mo. Meron tayong RSIT 2,000, MSIT 1,000. Alin ang mas malaki? Di ba 2,000? Alin ang babayaran? Di 2,000. Pero wag mong kakalimutan, meron kang excess MSIT na pwede mong i-carry over doon. 2,000 ang payable mo, i-carry over mo dyan. May babayaran ka pa ba? Wala. So, yung MSIT na 2,000 excess na binayaran mo in 2017, no? Anong gagawin mo? Yung balance na 1,000, pwede pa siyang gamitin sa 2019, sa 2020. Anong meron ngayon sa 2019? Tignan mo. 2019, RSIT, MSIT tayo. Alin ang mas malaki? Ayan, RSIT, MSIT. MSIT, alin ang babayaran? Di MSIT. Itong 1,000 na ba na to, pwede ba nating i-carry over yan dyan? Hindi. Kasi ang excess MSIT, pwede lang i-carry over as credit sa regular corporate income tax. So, ang gagawin mo dyan, itong 3,000 na to, iaantayin mo yan. Pwede mong gamitin yan hanggang, okay, yung excess. Ito, yung excess na 2,000, pwede mong i-carry over yan sa 2020, 2021, 2022. Okay, tingnan mo yung 2020. Meron kang RSIT, MSIT, kilompute mo, alin ang mas mataas? 2,000. Ngayon itong 2,000 na to, regular corporate income tax yan. Itong 1,000 na balance na yan, pwede mo bang i-carry over yan dyan? Anong taon ba to? 2020. Pwede pa. O, di carry over mo yan ng 1,000 doon. Tax credit mo yan. Ito, pwede bang carry over na yan doon? Aba, mas oo. So, i-carry over mo yung 1,000 dyan. O, may babayaran ka sa 2020? Wala. Tax credit kasi yan eh. So, meron kang balance pa na 1,000 na galing dito sa 2019. O, 2021, RCEP, MCET ulit, kinumpute mo, mas malaki ang, alin ang mas malaki, RCEP, de yun ang babayaran. Pero, tandaan mo, meron ka pang excess sa 2019 na MCET over RCET na 1,000, gawin mo tax credit yan. Ang payable mo na lang, 2021, 1,000. 2022, alin na mas malaki, RCET, MCET, kinumpute mo, MCET, wala ka ng excess, bayaran mo na ng buo. Ganyan lang kasimple yan. Okay, now, the MCET can be suspended by the Department of Finance through issuance of a revenue regulation. Okay, and there are only 3 instances under the tax code when can the commissioner, suspend the imposition of the MCIT. Aba, kung merong prolonged labor dispute. Ang prolonged labor dispute, ang pinaka-common 6 months. Pero it's not always 6 months kasi it depends on the industry. Halimbawa, Supreme Court ruling to, kapag nag-strike ang mga empleyado, manufacturing company, 6 months, matagal na yan. Prolonged labor dispute yan. Nag-strike ang mga nagtatrabaho, mga teachers, 30 days lang. Prolonged labor dispute na yan. Nag-strike ang mga nurse, mga doktor, mga medical professionals sa isang ospital. Alam nyo ba, kahit 1 day lang yan, prolonged labor dispute na yan, sabi ng Supreme Court. Kaya yung prolonged labor dispute would depend on based sa circumstance. Tapos force majeure. Halimbawa yung ondoy. Okay, nagkaroon ng ondoy. Nagkaroon ng giyera sa Marawi. Nagkaroon ng pumutok yung Bulkang Taal. Ang napakalaki ng impact niyan sa mga nearby areas. Alam nyo ba? Submit ako dati sa kay commissioner ng draft revenue regulation to implement the suspension of the MCIT. Hindi pinansin, no? But anyway, na-share ko lang naman. Okay, para gumaan lang ng aking damdamin. So, kapag force majeure kasi, pwede naman nilang gawin yan. Okay? Another example, COVID-19, never na sinuspend yan ng BIR. Although, syempre, maganda naman, bumaba naman yung corporate rate, yung MCIT rate natin temporarily. Okay, legitimate business reverses. Lugin-lugi, parang sa COVID-19, legitimate business reverses yan kasi sarado ka eh. Okay, wala ka magawa. Pwedeng i-suspend yan. Pero again, the BIR has yet to suspend the imposition of MCIT kahit na merong A, B, or C. Okay, so parang drawing lang tuloy siya sa tax code natin. Anyway, let's go to application. Simple lang to. Kung magbabasa ka, corporation yan, okay, LMB Corporation, retailer, merong gross sales na 1.4 million, o kung halimbawa ang tax due, income tax lang ang tinatanong, simple lang. Okay, compute mo yung gross sales, compute mo yung isulat mo lang kagad ang cost of sales, gross income na yon, ibawas mo yung allowable deductions kung itemized siya. Not taxable income, i-multiply mo siya ng regular rate, 25%. Sir, bakit regular rate yan? Diyos ko, lampas ba ng 5 million yan? Oo. Net taxable income, pag lampas ng 5 million, matik, 25%. Okay? So ngayon, eto, binanggit, total assets, 180 million. Di lang ng 25% yan. Lampas na ng 100 million eh. Kasama daw yung land na 50 million, tsaka building na kung saan yung entity situated. Di yung 75 million, i-minus mo dun sa 180, 105. Lampas pa rin ng 100 million. Talagang 25% yan. Okay, tatandaan mo the land where the OPE, office plant and equipment, exclude yan. So kung 180 ang total asset, exclude mo to, magkano yan? 105 pa rin. 105 million, lampas ng 100 million, 25%. Okay? Tapos, pang 5th year of operations na raw. Anong ibig sabihin? May MCIT. Okay, so ang ginawa mo rito, ginamit mo 25% kasi nga regular tax yan, so 172,500,000. Nag-MCIT ka based sa gross income. O bakit ka nag-MCIT? 2021 kasi yan. 1% tayo during the transition period. I-compare mo yung dalawa, alin ang mas malaki? RCIT, alin ang babayaran mo? Yung higher. Kapag MSIT ang mas malaki, bayaran ng MSIT. Yung excess ng MSIT over RSIT, tax credit siya sa susunod na taon. Simple. Okay? O, dito naman tayo. JPL Corporation, manufacturer, meron siyang gross sales ng 190 million, 2021 daw. O, edi transitory period yan. Nasa second year of operations pa lang daw. Edi ibig sabihin, wala yung MSIT. Total assets, 50 million. Aba, less than 100 million. Tingnan natin yung net income or taxable income kung hindi lalampas ng 5 million. Kung hindi lalampas, 20% ang gamitin mo. Okay? So, tapos, ang cost of sales, binigay 100 million, 50 million respectively. Compute the income tax due daw. Ay, simple lang. Okay, so gross sales 190, 100, gross income 90, allowable deductions 40 million. O, lampas ba ng 5 billion yan? Oo, edi 25%. Kahit less than pa to. Kahit less than, ano pa yan? Ang tawag nito, 100 million. Okay, taxable income, hindi lumampas ng, lampas ng 5 million. Therefore, regular rate. O, edi ito yung bayaran. Wala pa tayong MSIT. Okay, second X plus 4 tayo on the fourth year. Doon pa lang merong MSIT. Dito naman. JPL Corporation, manufacturer, meron siyang gross sales of 190, taxable year 2021. Second year of operations, wala pa rin MSIT. Total asset, 50 million. And tignan mo yung taxable income kung magkano yung tatamaan. Okay, meron siyang 100 million and 85 million OPEX at saka cost of sales. O, magkano na yung income tax due? Simple lang. Okay, gross sales, 190, cost of sales, gross income 90 million, allowable deduction 85 million, taxable income 5 million. Lampas ba yan ng 5 million? Hindi. 20% ang gagamitin natin. So, income tax din natin. Wala pa tayong MSIT, second year of operation pa lang. Kaya pag mga ganyan na binanggit na, second year of operation, third year of operation, fourth year of operation, wala ba yan? Yung pang fourth year, meron na, X plus 4, basta yung pang year of registration, yung pang-apat na taon, meron na tayo. Okay? Yung iba kasi, merong RC, literal na commencement of business, nag-register halimbawa 2018. Nag-start siya 2019. Ang bilang nila 2019. Mali, date of registration ang commencement of business under the revenue regulation. Okay? So, dito naman tayo. Improperly accumulated earnings tax, pasadahan lang natin ng konti kasi alam niyo naman, minsan merong mga nahahalong old rules sa exam. Pag-usapan natin. Dito, ano ba to? Merong improper yung accumulation ng earnings. Kaya nga, as a form of deterrent, nag-impose ng penalty. Ang pangalan niya, improperly accumulated earnings tax. Okay, bakit merong ganito? Halimbawa, doon muna tayo sa revised corporation code. A corporation can only retain 100% of capital stock. Okay? Ulit, a corporation can only retain 100% of the capital stock. So, halimbawa, 10 million lang capital stock, maximum na retained earnings mo, 10 million lang. Papaano sir kung halimbawa, ito 10 million na to, naging 20 million na yan? Ang presumption, yung 10 million, improper accumulation of earnings yan. Bakit sir? Kasi hindi ka nga pwedeng lumampas ng 100% of the capital stock only. 10 million ang dapat lumampas ka na Ba't hindi nagde-declare yan? Aba, ayaw niya magbayad ng final tax. Kaya hindi nagde-declare. Kaya nga ang rate nito, tignan mo, 10% ang rate niya. Kasi ayaw mo mag-declare ng dividends para hindi ka magbayad ng 10% final tax. Boom! Ano ka meron ngayon? Improperly accumulated earnings tax ka. Ang rate mo 10%. Anong maganda? Anong gagawin mo kung corporation ka? Kaysa magbayad ka ng improperly accumulated earnings tax, mag-declare ka na lang. Bayad kang final tax. Kasi, sir, paano pag halimbawa? In-assess kami ng improperly accumulated earnings tax, tapos dineclare namin, magbabayad pa kami ng final tax? Oo. Natural. Nag-distribute ka ng dividends Okay, kaya nga this is a form of deterrence, no? Para mag-declare ng dividends at magbayad ng tax sa mga income earners. Okay? So, the tax is based on improperly accumulated earnings. It's imposed on the 15th day following the close of the taxable year. So, halimbawa, 2022 tayo. Okay? January 15, 2023 ang deadline nito. Okay? Ano ngayon? Nature of the improperly accumulated earnings tax, kahit tax yan, ang pangalan niya, penalty yan. It's in the nature. Di ka nagde-declare, fine ka, improperly accumulated earnings tax. It is a form of deterrence, okay? Deterrence to avoid payment of final tax on dividend declarations by qualified corporations. Sir, bakit by qualified corporations? Aba, kasi merong mga taxpayers na allowed mag-retain kahit lampas. Okay? Sino tong mga to? Aba, mga bangko, mga banks. Ina-allow yan mag-keep ng retained earnings nila. Natural. Bakit? Kasi kung mayroong mag-withdraw ng 1 billion pesos dyan, saan sila kukuha ng pera kung hindi sila allowed mag-retain? Okay? Mga publicly listed companies, publicly listed. Sir, bakit? Kasi kaya sila allowed mag-retain ng retained earnings nila kasi ang ating financial markets, ang bilis, ang fluctuation yan. Biglang tataas, biglang babagsak. Pag bumagsak yan, paano sila magsasurvive kung wala silang retained earnings na nakaipon? Yung mga insurance companies. Okay, kaya nga BPI ang mnemonic natin, no? Parang bank. Insurance companies, bakit? Kung di sila allowed mag-retain, kung halimbawa 1,000 ang namatay, tapos 1 million each, paano nila mababayaran yan kung wala silang excess retained earnings? Okay, yung mga joint venture, exempt joint ventures, yung mga partnerships, yung mga, kasi hindi naman kasi corporation yung partnership, yung taxable partnership, ano yan? Yung mga GPP, wala rin yan. Yung exempt joint venture, wala rin yan. Okay, so yun ang mga entities na allowed to retain more than their capital. So, magandang balita ito, under Create Law, tinanggal na the improperly accumulated earnings tax shall no longer be imposed upon effectivity of Create Law. Kaya pag tinanong ka, kailan ang effectivity nito? April 11, 2021, dyan lang natanggal ang improperly accumulated earnings tax. Okay, so JDS Corporation, DC, merong unappropriated retained earnings in excess, blah, blah. Okay, so however, JDS shall no longer be subject to improperly accumulated earnings tax for the entire fiscal year kasi after na yan ang effectivity of the Create Law. So, titignan mo lang yung period kung kailan. So, beginning taxable year 2020, wala nang improperly accumulated earnings tax hanggang ngayon. Okay? Now, let's go discuss yung dito muna tayo mag-stop dahil mahaba.